let me ask you something directly, and I want you to be honest with yourself when you answer it. Do you genuinely believe that after 60, your value to a woman comes down to the size of your bank account, the car parked in your driveway, or whether you still have a full head of hair? Because if that belief has been sitting somewhere in the back of your mind, I need you to stop right there. Not because it's offensive, but because it is quietly costing you something real. It's costing you the confidence that is already yours, the presence that is already built into you, the natural magnetism that most men your age are sitting on without ever knowing how to use it. Society has been selling this story for years. The idea that attraction is a young man's game, that once you cross a certain age, you become invisible unless you're living some kind of flashy, high-status lifestyle. Sports cars, designer, everything. A bank account that announces itself before you even speak. And I understand why that story spreads. It's loud. It's everywhere. But here's what I know from actually working with men in their 60s and 70s, from sitting across from real people and watching what actually happens in real interactions. That story is not just incomplete. It is wrong. And the men who keep believing it keep playing a game they were never meant to play, competing on ground where they will always lose, while completely ignoring the ground where they already win without even trying. Because here is what's actually true. Women today, especially women with any real self-awareness and life experience, are not short on attention from younger men. They are drowning in it. Younger men are everywhere, trying to impress, performing, seeking validation, sending messages, showing up with all that restless energy that hasn't yet found its direction. And after a while, all of that noise starts to feel exhausting rather than exciting. What those women are actually missing, what they are genuinely hungry for, is something that cannot be performed. Something that cannot be manufactured in a gym or purchased from a luxury brand. They are missing emotional stability. They are missing a grounded, settled presence. They are missing a man who knows who he is and doesn't need anyone in the room to confirm it for him. And gentlemen, that man is you. If you're willing to step into it, here's the shift I want to invite you into today. And it's not complicated, but it is important. Everything changes the moment you stop trying to compete with younger men on their terms and start fully inhabiting your own. You are not 35 anymore. And that is not a problem to solve. That is an advantage to understand. The man you are right now, the man who has been through real things, who has built something from scratch and watched parts of it fall and rebuilt again, who has loved and lost and figured out what actually matters and what doesn't. That man carries something that no amount of youth or money can replicate. It's called depth. And depth is not loud. Depth doesn't announce itself, but it is felt. Immediately, by anyone paying attention. Psychologists have a term for the quality that sits at the heart of this. They call it outcome independence. And what it means in practical terms is simple. You engage with a woman without being attached to a specific result. You're not performing for her approval. You're not calculating whether she finds you attractive. You're not trying to win anything or prove anything. You're simply present, interested, enjoying the interaction for what it is rather than for what you're hoping it leads to. And here's why that matters so much. The moment a man stops seeking validation, his entire energy shifts in a way that is immediately noticeable to the people around him. Instead of pressure, she feels ease. Instead of that subtle, desperate energy that so many men carry without realizing it, she feels calm. She feels safe. And safety, genuine emotional safety in the presence of a man, is one of the most powerful and underrated forces in attraction that exists. Now let me walk you through 3 mistakes that I see men over 60 make repeatedly. And I want to be honest about these because each one quietly works against the very thing you're trying to create. The first is chasing instead of attracting. And this one shows up in ways that are sometimes obvious and sometimes incredibly subtle. The obvious version is the man who leads with his wallet, who name drops, who makes sure a woman knows about his achievements within the first 5 minutes of meeting her. And I understand the impulse behind it. You've built things. You're proud of what you've created. That's not wrong. But when those things become tools for seeking approval, when the motivation behind sharing them is please see my value rather than genuine self-expression, women feel it instantly. It feels forced. It creates a kind of low-level pressure that makes people want to lean away rather than in. The more subtle version of chasing is the man who adjusts himself in real time based on how she seems to be responding, who softens his opinions when he senses she might disagree, who laughs a little too easily at things that aren't actually funny, who orbits her energy instead of inhabiting his own. All of these things signal the same thing underneath, that your comfort depends on her reaction. And the moment your comfort depends on her reaction, you have handed over the very quality that makes you attractive. The better approach, and this is simpler than it sounds, is to relax. Take up your own space. Be comfortable in your own presence without needing anything from the interaction to go a particular way. Let her curiosity develop naturally rather than trying to manufacture it. The second mistake is anchoring your self-worth to her approval. And this one is particularly insidious because it happens almost entirely on the inside where no one else can see it. But here's the thing, even though it's internal, it shows. The moment you start wondering whether she finds you attractive, your body responds. Your voice changes almost imperceptibly. Your posture shifts in small ways. A subtle tension enters the interaction that wasn't there before. Your eye contact, which should be easy and natural, becomes something you're suddenly managing rather than simply offering. And all of that micro-tension, all of those tiny physical signals communicate one clear message. I need something from you. And need, when it comes from that place of internal insecurity, is one of the least attractive things a person can radiate. The stronger approach is to anchor your value somewhere that cannot be moved by anyone's response. Anchor it in your experience, in the life you have built, in the clarity you have developed over decades about who you are and what you stand for. When you genuinely respect yourself, when that respect is solid and internal and not dependent on anyone's reaction, people around you begin to mirror it. They begin to treat you with the same respect you extend to yourself. And that, more than any external quality, is what creates the kind of presence that makes people want to stay near you. The third mistake is trying to compete with youth. And I see this in different forms. The man who suddenly starts chasing trends that don't belong to him, who dyes his hair hoping to shave off the appearance of years, who forces a younger image in a way that feels more like costume than identity. And again, I understand the impulse. We live in a world that worships youth and makes aging feel like something to hide rather than something to inhabit. But here's the reality. The men I've watched create genuine, lasting attraction in their 60s and 70s are not doing it by pretending to be in their 30s. They're doing it by stepping fully, confidently, unapologetically into exactly who they are right now. Because what many women are ultimately seeking, the women who have moved past the noise and the chaos of trying to figure out what they want, is stability. Direction. A man who moves through life with certainty. And certainty about who you are is something only time and experience can build. You have it. Use it. Now here's something practical I want to offer you. A simple 12-minute daily practice that, when done consistently, begins to genuinely rewire how you carry yourself. Start with 3 minutes of stillness where you consciously imagine your life exactly as it is, without needing it to look different to anyone. Not performing for an imaginary audience. Not justifying your choices. Just sitting with your life and finding what's already good in it. Then spend a few minutes imagining a conversation with someone you're attracted to, but without any agenda, not trying to get anywhere or prove anything, simply enjoying the exchange for its own sake. Finally, spend 5 minutes reflecting on what you've actually been through. The challenges you've navigated, the things you've built, the times when everything was uncertain and you moved forward anyway, the person you've become through all of that. When you practice this consistently, something real begins to shift. Your breathing slows. Your posture becomes more naturally open. Your eye contact becomes steady without effort. And here's the fascinating part. Human nervous systems mirror each other. When you are genuinely calm and grounded, the person sitting across from you begins to feel that calm too. Their nervous system responds to yours. They begin to feel safe without knowing exactly why. And that feeling, the feeling of being safe and at ease in someone's presence, is the foundation of every deep and lasting attraction. It operates below the level of conscious thought. It doesn't matter how good-looking someone is or how impressive their life appears on the surface. What matters is how they make you feel. And a man who makes people feel safe and calm and genuinely met, that man is unforgettable. Let me leave you with a simple image that I think captures everything we've talked about today. One of the men I've worked with, 68 years old, told me that he stopped trying to attract attention a long time ago. He would sit at his local cafe in the morning, reading, enjoying his surroundings, fully present in his own company. One morning, a woman approached him and started a conversation. He didn't engineer it. He didn't plan for it. His presence simply communicated something that words never could. I am content. I am at peace. And I am open to connection without needing it to be anything in particular. That kind of energy is so rare in the world today that when someone carries it, people feel it from across a room. You are not invisible. Your best years are not behind you. This stage of life, if you choose to inhabit it fully rather than apologize for it, carries a depth and a quiet power that younger men are simply not yet capable of. Stop competing where you can't win. Start showing up fully where you already have every advantage. The right presence, the kind that comes from a man who knows himself and doesn't need anyone's approval to feel complete, that is the most attractive thing you will ever offer. And you've already built it. You just have to stop hiding it. If this landed for you today, subscribe and join us here every week, because this is exactly the kind of conversation we're committed to having. Real insights, real mindset shifts for men who are done shrinking and ready to show up fully.